After losing everything she had ever known, her family, her home, her love, because of the curse that forced her to speak only truth, Camille thought the worst was behind her. She was wrong. 3 days of walking through the forest had left her exhausted, hungry, and desperately thirsty. When she finally stumbled into the village of Peaceful Waters, she believed she had found refuge. But the inhabitants of this new place would soon discover what the people of Sunrise Village had learned. Truth, spoken without mercy or tact, could be more destructive than the sharpest weapon. And in Peaceful Waters, the consequences of Kemi's uncontrollable honesty would prove far more dangerous than mere social rejection. Peaceful Waters was larger than Sunrise Village and more prosperous, built around a series of natural springs that provided clear, abundant water year-round. The village specialized in pottery and cloth-making, and their products were traded throughout the region. The compounds were more elaborate, with painted walls and decorated doorways that spoke of wealth and artistic tradition. Kemi arrived during the busy afternoon market, when traders from distant villages mingled with locals, and the air filled with the sounds of bargaining, laughter, and the calls of children playing between the stalls. Weak from hunger and travel, she approached a kind-looking woman selling clay pots. "Please, Mama, might you spare some water? I have traveled far and have nothing to offer in trade." The woman, whose name was Mama Bisi, took one look at Kemi's exhausted state and immediately offered her a gourd of cool spring water and a portion of her own meal of rice and stew. "Where do you come from, child? You look as though you have been walking for days." Kemi hesitated, then found herself compelled to speak truth. "I come from Sunrise Village, where I was cast out because I can no longer tell lies or keep secrets. Everything I say must be true, whether people want to hear it or not." Mama Bisi laughed, thinking Kemi was making a joke. "Well, that would certainly make life interesting. Come, you can rest in my compound tonight. Tomorrow we will find you proper work and a place to stay." But Kemi's reputation preceded her in ways she had not expected. That evening, as Mama Bisi introduced her to her family, Kemi met Mama Bisi's husband, Baba Jid, and their teenage son, Kunle. Baba Jid was friendly enough, but when he proudly showed Kemi some of his wife's finest pottery, claiming they were her latest work, Kemi found herself saying, "But these were made by your neighbor, Mama Yemi. You buy them from her and sell them as your wife's work because hers command higher prices." The compound fell silent. Mama Bisi's face went pale, and Baba Jid's expression shifted from friendliness to cold anger. "How could you possibly know that?" he demanded. "I can see the differences in the clay and the glazing technique," Kemi replied truthfully. "And there is clay dust under Mama Yemi's fingernails that matches these pots, while Mama Bisi's hands show she has been weaving, not working with pottery." Despite this rocky start, Mama Bisi chose to believe that Kemi's strange ability might be a gift rather than a curse. "If you truly cannot lie," she said privately to Kemi, "then you are the most trustworthy person I have ever met. Perhaps there is value in that." Mama Bisi arranged for Kemi to work with Mama Yemi, the skilled potter whose work had been misrepresented. Mama Yemi was a widow who lived alone and had grown suspicious of people's motives after years of being taken advantage of. "So you are the girl who cannot lie," Mama Yemi said when they first met. "Prove it. Tell me something I do not want to hear." Kemi studied the older woman's face and then spoke gently. "You are lonely and have been hurt by people who pretended to be friends but only wanted to use your skills. You work alone because it feels safer, but you miss having someone to talk to while you shape the clay." Mama Yemi's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded approvingly. "You speak truth with kindness. That is rare. Come, I will teach you to work with clay, and you can help me manage my business affairs. Someone who cannot lie would be valuable in negotiations, As the weeks passed, Kemi found an unexpected peace in learning the potter's art. Working with clay required patience, gentle strength, and the ability to feel what the material needed. It was a meditation that helped calm the chaos in her mind and gave her hands something productive to do. Under Mama Yemi's patient instruction, Kemi learned to center clay on the wheel, to pull walls thin and even, and to shape vessels that were both beautiful and functional. More importantly, she learned that there were different ways to speak truth, with compassion, with timing, and with wisdom about when truth would help rather than harm. Truth is like fire, Mama Yemi taught her as they worked side by side. It can cook your food and warm your home, or it can burn down the village. The fire itself is neither good nor evil. It is how you use it that matters. It was during her 3rd week in peaceful waters that Kemi met Adiola, and her life changed in ways she had not thought possible since leaving Sunrise Village. Adiola was a traveling musician who came to Peaceful Waters for the monthly market festival. Unlike the local drummers who played traditional rhythms, Adiola had learned to blend the music of different regions, creating something new and beautiful that still honored the old ways. He first saw Kemi at Mama Yemi's pottery stall, where she was helping to display and sell the week's work. When a customer tried to haggle by claiming the pots were overpriced for their quality, Kemi found herself saying, "These are worth twice what Mama Yemi is asking." The clay comes from the sacred riverbank. The glazes are made from minerals she collects herself, and each piece is fired with techniques passed down through 4 generations. You will not find better quality anywhere. The customer, impressed by her passionate honesty, paid the asking price without further argument. Adiola, who had been listening nearby, approached their stall with a smile. "I have never heard anyone sell pottery with such conviction," he said to Kemi. "You speak as if these pots were your own children." "I speak only truth," Kemi replied automatically. "These pots are beautiful, and Mama Yemi deserves fair payment for her skill." Adiola studied her face curiously. "Only truth? That is an interesting way to put it. Most people mix truth with diplomacy." "I cannot mix anything with truth anymore," Kemi said, then found herself explaining her curse to yet another stranger. But Adiola's reaction was unlike any she had received before. Instead of fear or rejection, his eyes lit up with fascination and something that looked almost like delight. "How wonderful!" he exclaimed. "A person who cannot lie. You must see the world so clearly, without all the fog that deception creates. What a gift!" "It is not a gift," Kemi protested. "I have lost my family, my home, my future marriage, all because I cannot control what comes from my mouth." "But think of what you have gained," Adiola said seriously. "You can never be accused of deception. People know exactly where they stand with you. Your word has absolute value. In a world full of pretty lies and comfortable deceptions, you are like a clear spring of water." Adiola extended his stay in Peaceful Waters from 3 days to 3 weeks, claiming he needed to learn new songs from the village elders. But Kemi knew the truth. He was staying because of her, and she found herself looking forward to his visits to the pottery workshop each day. Their courtship was unlike anything Kemi had experienced with Dio. Where her childhood relationship had been comfortable and assumed, her connection with Adiola was built on genuine fascination with each other's uniqueness. Adiola would bring his talking drum to the workshop and play while Kemi worked at the potter's wheel. He seemed to find her brutal honesty refreshing rather than threatening. "Tell me what you really think of my music," he would challenge her. "Your rhythms are innovative and beautiful, but sometimes you try so hard to be different that you forget to let the traditional patterns guide you," Kemi would reply. "When you trust the old ways and add your own touches gently, the music soars. When you fight against tradition entirely, it sounds forced." Rather than being offended, Adiola would experiment with her suggestions, and his music did indeed improve. In return, he helped Kemi understand that her gift of truth-telling could be a form of music itself. It was all about rhythm, timing, and knowing when to play loudly and when to play softly. Truth without compassion is just noise, he told her, but truth spoken with love and wisdom can heal hearts and change minds. For the first time since her transformation, Kemi began to feel hope that she might not be doomed to a life of isolation. Perhaps someone could love her exactly as she was, curse and all. But happiness, as Kemi had learned, was often fragile in the face of jealousy and fear. Chief Gabadebo, the leader of Peaceful Waters, had been watching Kemi with growing suspicion. Unlike the straightforward anger of Chief Adebayo in Sunrise Village, Chief Gabadebo was a cunning man who understood that Kemi's ability to expose lies made her a threat to his own carefully constructed web of small corruptions. Chief Gabadebo had been secretly selling sacred spring water to distant villages, claiming it was ordinary well water while charging premium prices for the blessed water that was supposed to be freely available to all who needed it. He had also been skimming tribute meant for the regional king and spreading rumors about his political rivals based on half-truths and strategic omissions. Kemi's presence in the village made all of these schemes dangerous. If she ever spoke directly to him, she might expose everything he had worked to hide. So Chief Gabadebo began to plant seeds of discord. He whispered to the village elders that Kemi's curse might be contagious, that her uncontrollable truth-telling was a sign of spiritual contamination that could spread to others. He suggested that her presence was the reason why several recent pottery firings had failed, and why the springs had been running slightly lower than usual. She claims to speak only truth, he said to his followers. But what if she is actually controlled by a spirit of chaos that wants to destroy our peace and prosperity? The whispering campaign was subtle but effective. People began to avoid Kemi again, and some started to suggest that perhaps Peaceful Waters would be better off without her. The crisis came to a head when Chief Gabadebo confronted Adiola directly, demanding that he stop consorting with the cursed girl. She is poisoning minds and turning people against their leaders, Chief Gabadebo declared. If you continue to court her, you will be banned from this village and all villages under my influence. Adiola faced the same choice that Dio had faced in Sunrise Village: stand by Kemi and face rejection, or abandon her to protect his own future. That evening, as Kemi waited for Adiola at their usual meeting place by the springs, she saw him approaching with a heavy heart and sad eyes. Even before he spoke, she knew what he had decided. Kemi, he said softly, I cannot fight the whole village for you. My music is my life, and if I am banned from performing in this region, you choose your career over our love, Kemi said, the truth cutting through her heart like a blade. You are afraid that staying with me will cost you too much. Adiola's pained expression confirmed her words, but like Dio before him, he could not deny the truth she spoke. As he walked away, Kemi found herself alone once again, facing the terrible possibility that her curse would always drive away anyone she cared about. The gift that Adiola had called wonderful was starting to feel like the cruelest punishment the ancestors could have devised. Could love truly conquer the darkness that haunted the girl who could no longer lie? As the stars reflected in the sacred springs of Peaceful Waters, even Kemi was beginning to doubt it.